Hi, my name is Melissa Shortino. Welcome to the Boss Lady M's video series on leadership and influence. This is a series I'm doing for my thesis, which we call capstone, for my master's degree at Northeastern University. In this video, I want to discuss a topic that is related to leadership and something that I think every leader needs to really pay attention to in order to be a strong leader and to protect their company. Something I learned in my crisis communication and leadership communication classes, and really in many of the classes, this topic comes up, is how a leader responds to crisis. It really demonstrates a lot about your leadership style. As we discussed in the last video, which also trickles down into the corporate culture of the organization. But I want to give you two specific examples of how a company communicated during a crisis, and just the glaring difference between how it can be done well and how it can be done really poorly. So let's start with the poor side of things. I'm going to reference some of the case studies that I did to give you some examples. So here's an example of how not to do things, and that is United Airlines. United Airlines has a crazy amount of poor communication choices that their leadership makes throughout years. It's almost so bad you want to laugh, but it's really not laughable. So here's just an example of some of their things that they've handled poorly just since 2015. So in 2015, United employee pushes a 71-year-old man to the ground. In 2017, a passenger is dragged brutally off of a plane and bloodied for refusing to give up his seat due to overbooking. In 2017, United kills a rabbit flying domestically. And in 2017, they sent a dog to Chicago instead of California. In 2018, in March alone, 4 incidents. A United flight attendant demands a dog be stowed in the overhead compartment of a plane during a flight, which is against United's policies and caused this poor dog to die during the flight. A dog with the destination of Kansas ends up in Japan on a United flight. United causes an employee uproar when they announce they are turning employee bonuses into a lottery. United barred 2 young teenagers from boarding a flight because they were wearing leggings. And in June of 2018, United caused an infant to be hospitalized when he was overheated on the plane, which was delayed on the tarmac for over 2 hours. Now, I understand that things happen, but it's the actual response to these situations that makes it even worse. The biggest, the most notorious of these was when the passenger was dragged brutally off the plane. That passenger was a 71-year-old. Is that correct? No, that passenger is Dr. David Dow, a 69-year-old doctor traveling to see patients in the morning, which is why he refused to get off the plane. And it took United an entire day before they responded. And this, of course, went viral very quickly because people were tweeting and videoing and uploading videos to Facebook. That's what happens nowadays. And after an entire day, their response to the response that the CEO gave was, "I apologize for having to reaccommodate these customers," never mentioning anything about having drug a man off of a plane and it caused him injury. So this is one example of how a company should not handle crisis. Clearly, there needs to be transparency and a genuine apology when you make a mistake. Now let's talk about something that's a little more bright and funny. This was a case study I did that I found to be very interesting, and I love the way that this company chose to use humor in the face of a crisis that wasn't a life-threatening crisis. So KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in England and a couple of stores in Ireland, but a big section of like 900 stores, they ran out of chicken. And I mean, you get the humor in that just right away. KFC runs out of chicken. And actually, they didn't run out. What happened was there was a problem with a new a new shipping company that they had switched over to, and logistics happened. An accident occurred, and like causing traffic and blockages, and they couldn't get to where they needed to get to the chicken to pick up the chickens and deliver them. So what they did instead of well, the way they handled this crisis, they did it all through Twitter, and like I said, they handled it with humor. So check this out. The first one is the first tweet that came out was, "The chickens cross the road, just not to our restaurants." And then they go to explain, we've brought a new delivery partner on board, but they've had a couple of teething problems. Getting fresh chicken out to 900 restaurants across the country is pretty complex. We won't compromise on quality, so no deliveries has meant some of our restaurants are closed and others are operating a limited menu or shortened hours. They went through a series of these tweets. Some chickens have now crossed the road. The rest are waiting at the Pelican Crossing. I don't know if it's clear for you, but they went through a series of these tweets, and they kept their consumers aware of what was going on. They let them know that they were on top of it. And I think just staying in contact with their customers made this crisis, they didn't lose customers because of it. So they went through a series, and I think one of my favorite, I don't have to go through all of these, but my favorite one, they actually started a hashtag that was hashtag where's my chicken. And they had people on staff communicating with their customers directly regarding the crisis, answering questions and letting them know where they could find, where there were restaurants open, what restaurants had what available, etc. So this is my favorite part of the campaign that they did in response to this crisis. They put a full page KFC advertisement in the London Star saying we're sorry and rearranging the letters on the empty chicken bucket. So this is just an example of crisis communication and how you can decide whether or not you're going to handle it properly, improperly, with humor, with grace, with transparency. It's really super important that we as leaders understand that hiding things from our customers and the public when there is a crisis is not the way. It's just not the way. And I think as a whole, that has to change in leadership. So that's that topic for today. And I hope to see you next time, and would love to hear your comments and thoughts about this topic.